darling viewers, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy. Today I'm going to do the stay-at-home book tag, which was created by Princess of Paperback. The link to the original video and the questions will be down in the description below if you want to check this out, and if you want to do the book tag as well. So this is a book tag centering around the fact that most of us have been staying home lately as we attempt to fight this pandemic. Alright, question 1 is laying in bed. So a book you could have or have read in a single day. For me, that is Geekerella by Ashley Poston. This is a young adult contemporary, very geeky retelling of Cinderella. The main character, Danielle, is obsessed with this one sci-fi show called Starfield that she used to watch with her dad before he died. And she's been since left with, her stepmother and stepsisters who are awful to her. It's Cinderella, guys. But she starts texting this one guy who she thinks is just like a fan of the show, but is actually going to star in the movie reboot. And the two of them together is just, it's so cute, so adorable. I love fairy tales. It's just, I love sci-fi, I love cons, so this one's just all the boxes. So I've actually read it multiple times in a single day, like separate single days, months apart, but like I know I can read this in a single day. It is so much fun. Like I just start picking it up and I just get absorbed into this book. I love it. I also love the sequel to it, Princess and the Fangirl. Question 2 is snacking a guilty pleasure book. There aren't many books that I feel particularly guilty about reading. So for me, my guilty pleasure is book buying, and it's buying all the Doctor Who books. I'm not ashamed of the fact that I love Doctor Who. It's an amazing television show. I love the fact that it can literally go anywhere in time and space. So one book can be set on a different planet. One can be set in the past in the Old West. One can be set on future Earth. We can deal with aliens, and sometimes all of that happens in one story. So I love the show, but I buy so many of these books and don't read them anywhere near as fast as I accumulate them. So I think I have like 4 bookshelves of Doctor Who. At one point I had 3 when they were all in my library, and I will probably post that picture here. I know I took a picture of it. And I have accumulated more since to probably fill up another bookshelf. So yeah, I need to read my Doctor Who books. That's what I feel guilty about. Yeah. Okay, question 3 is Netflix, a series you want to start. So for me, this is the Broken Earth Trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. This is future sci-fi. Every single book in this trilogy has won the Hugo Award. So she won 3 back-to-back Hugo Awards for this trilogy. So, like, that in of itself makes me want to check it out. I've also enjoyed the other book that I read by her, which is, I think, How Long Till Black Future Month? Anyway, I like her writing style, but it's a bunch of periodic disasters. So one disaster after another, and I'm not a huge fan of disaster books or movies, so that's what's holding me back from reading this series and why I keep kind of putting it off. But it's also one that I feel like I should definitely jump into and definitely read. Question 4 is a deep clean, so a book that has been on your TBR for ages, so your to-be-read list. And for me, that is City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. So this may not be the book that has been on my TBR the longest, but it's the one that I probably should have just read by now. This is the only book in the Mortal Instrument series that I own, and yet it's the only one I haven't read. So I read the first 5 books in that series back in 2016, and I was getting overloaded on it, so I stopped reading before I got to book 6. And I have not picked it up again. It's been like 4 years. Part of it is the fact that the prequel trilogy, The Infernal Devices, is way better. So when I went and read The Mortal Instruments, it wasn't as good. And then like the first 3 books sounded amazing and like completed a story arc. And then we got into books 4 and 5 and it started feeling extra and excessive. So my interest in the entire series just like faded, and I just haven't gotten to book 6. Also, it's pretty massive, so it's hard to convince myself that I want to jump into this book and get it over with when it's like the size of 2 normal books. I'm also now at a point where do I go back and reread the other ones, or do I just read book 6 just so I can get it done with? Question 5 is Animal Crossing. So a book that you recently bought because of the hype. A more recent book that I bought because of a hype is the fairy tale manga series by Hiro Mashima. And this was a humble bundle. So it went on sale and I'm like, I've heard a lot about this. And then I looked at a few reviews and I'm like, yeah, we're going to get this. So I ended up buying like the entire fairy tale series as well as several of Hiro Mashima's other graphic novels, mangas. And so this is the story of a guild that does magic, and it's like this whole fantasy world where there are a bunch of other magic guilds and they're trying to go around and solve problems using magic and earning money that way. But the main characters are just so funny. And like one of them is a cat named Happy, and it's just so adorable. I love it. So I've been reading that and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm also, not sad that I gave into the hype on that one. But it is also like 63 volumes, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get through all 63. I may lose enthusiasm. So question 6 is productivity. So a book that you have learned from or a book that had impact on you. For me, that is Monster She Wrote, which is a nonfiction book. It is the woman who pioneered horror and speculative fiction, and it is written by Lisa Kröger and Melanie R. Anderson. So this is a nonfiction story, and it does like mini biographies of all of these big female names in science fiction and fantasy writing, particularly focusing on the horror and speculative fiction. But it goes into like pulp sci-fi and stuff, and I am loving it. I'm kind of going through this very slowly because I am just eating all of it up and like absorbing it. So like here's Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein and kind of created science fiction as we think of it. So she's got a biography about like what inspired her to write it, and the impact it's had. There are quotes from the books in here, and it's just, they're short little ones. And then it goes through. So part 4 is the woman who wrote pulps, moving into the 1950s. It's all chronological, and it's like a great history of literature told through these women. And you start to see the evolution and them building off of each other and taking influences from each other, as well as some of the guys. But like, we're focusing on the female writers. And it's giving me so many other books that I want to go read. So I'm like halfway through this book, even though I started it in the fall. But I'm really enjoying Monster She Wrote. So I'm learning a lot. And it's definitely making me want to go read more, and also like thinking about writing too. And how we develop ideas and how we push the envelope. Okay, question 7 is FaceTime. So a book you were gifted. So I've been gifted quite a few books, most of which are books that I have requested. And there are a lot of Doctor Who books that I've been gifted. So I decided to go with one that was not Doctor Who, and it is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. So my elder sister gave this to me for Christmas one year. It is a children's book that is a bit horror. It's about this young girl, Coraline, who moves into a new house, except everything in that house is weird, and then she kind of crosses over into this alternate version of her house and her family, and it's just really strange. And it's about Coraline just dealing with the isolation of having moved, and her parents being too busy to notice her, and it's very, very creepy. The movie itself is particularly creepy. The book was a little bit easier to digest because I could, like, put it down. But it's so good. And it is still a children's book. Nothing gets that scary or that freaky, but it's also just a little bit, it's unsettling is what this book is. So yes, I enjoyed Coraline. Okay, and then question 8 is self-care. So what is one thing you have done recently to look after yourself? So I have been making sure to go out and walk basically every day, and like long walks, so for like an hour or more. And it helps that my sister lives with me and she has a dog, so while she's at work I take the dog out. So getting outside, getting that fresh air, getting out of the house for a while, seeing the rest of the world, that's great. I've also started doing some light exercise, and nothing crazy. I am not a person who is fit, but like lifting dumbbell exercises and doing some light cardio and some yoga, trying to stretch things and make sure my muscles are still functioning. I don't want to go back to work and not be able to actually do my job, especially as a page where there's a lot of like squatting down and reaching up and like trying to get these books on the shelves. So I need to be able to still be able to do that. So that's my motivation. And it's good to just get up and move. Okay, question 9 is a bonus, and it's name a book that is coming out soon. So with the pandemic happening, book sales are kind of slowing down, and some of these books are getting their release dates pushed back. So they need hype. So these are 4 books that are coming out within the next few months that I am just really excited for. So the first book is Raybearer by Jordan Ifueko, which I may have mispronounced. All the authors' titles, books are all going to be down in the description below, guys, by the way. This release date got pushed back to August 18th. It was supposed to be coming out like really soon, and I'm like, I was so pumped to read this book, and now we have to wait more. So this is a young adult fantasy book about this kingdom, basically, where you have a crown prince who is growing up with these advisors who have all been raised from a young age to advise him. Like that, they've always known that that's going to be their role in society, so that they grow up together and they know each other and they like each other, and so hopefully there'll be a little bit less backstabbing and trying to overthrow the government. Except one of the girls, who was one of his advisors, has been planted there by her mother to overthrow the government, and so she is the main character and she's reckoning with like what she's supposed to do. It sounds amazing. It's got a lot of African influences, so I was just like, I want to read this book, and now we have to wait. Also, the cover is just absolutely gorgeous. I want Raybearer. The second book on my list is Don't Ask Me Where I'm From by Jennifer DeLoyan. It comes out May 5th. I've actually already pre-ordered this, so it should be coming within a week or two. Whoop, whoop. I'm excited for that. This one is a young adult contemporary novel. It's about a Latino woman in high school and trying to fit in a mostly white community and trying to like decide whether or not she should try to pass more as being white and give up some of her heritage, at least in school. So dealing with that internal conflict. The next book on my list is Lobizona by Romina Garber. This is a young adult fantasy book that focuses on an Argentinian American immigrant, or maybe she's just Argentina and living in America. The book hasn't come out yet, guys. I haven't read it yet. But she and her grandmother are being targeted by ICE. And so there's this whole like being illegal issue in there, but also this fantasy element about being the 7th daughter and having like magical powers associated with that. And weaving that into the story, and finding out that maybe there's more to her heritage and her background than just being a illegal immigrant and a Latina woman. So that one sounds interesting. I butchered that explanation. I'm sorry. Okay, and the last book is A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green, which comes out July 7th. This is a sequel to An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, which I've already read and reviewed. This is an adult science fiction book focusing on April May. The first book, she discovers these robots that just appear all over Earth, and she starts documenting it for social media, and like the whole world starts paying attention to her because she was one of the first people to discover it, and she gets hyped up in the media frenzy of that. And then book 2, she's discovered more about the robots, and I'm really excited to find out more about them and what they are, and just continuing the story in this world. I love it. I need it. I need more of it. So July is too far away, guys. I know we're going to get to these months eventually, but like I want these books like now. So there are my answers to the stay-at-home book tag. Let me know in the comments below what any of your answers are to this. Did you also do this book tag? The link to the original video is down in the description below. The questions are down in the description below, and the list of every book and author that I talked about is also down in the description below. So check those out. And I hope you guys are coping very well as we have quarantine and stay-at-home orders. As long as they may last. Don't jump the gun though, guys. Don't. I know it's exciting to like get back to things, but don't put yourself at risk. So stay home. Just keep social distancing. Wear the masks. It's gonna help. Yeah. So peace out. I love you guys. stay healthy, and keep reading. Bye.